Hey, I'm Isabel Bercaw, and when I was 12 years old, I founded a multi-million-dollar bath and body products company called the Bomb Bath. After 5 years of building my own brand, I've discovered a passion for helping young and innovative entrepreneurs tell their stories. Hopefully, you'll be inspired by the guests here on Build-A-Biz and maybe even motivated to start a business of your own. Let's get into it.
This is Build-A-Biz with Isabel Bercaw.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Build-A-Biz. I'm Isabel Bercaw, your host, and today I have a very special guest and friend joining me, Miss Livi Redden, and she is the 20-year-old mindset educator and serial entrepreneur, and she's going to let us just totally ask her lots of questions today and give us lots of great advice on how to change our mindsets.
I love it. I'm excited.
Yes, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Isabel's awesome. For anyone that's listening, I've known her for about a year now. She's amazing. And I'm excited to come on here. This is actually my first podcast. This is fun.
That's so exciting.
First podcast guest.
Yes, exactly. I was going to say, Livi does a whole host of interviews, if that's what you want to say. She actually has her own podcast. It's called Today is the Future podcast. And that's actually how we met. She had me on her podcast. Now we're sort of just reversing the roles a little bit.
That's right. Yeah.
So speaking of Today is the Future, what do you talk about on there?
Yeah. So Today is the Future is a podcast I created a bit over a year ago, and I interview teens and 20-somethings from all over the world that are doing inspiring things and creating inspiring businesses and projects. And these people could be anywhere from business owners to activists, artists, writers, just anything that I feel could inspire the people that listen to my podcast. And the whole purpose behind it was to inspire other young people to create a life they love and a life that they have always wanted, and that it's possible that they can do that with some intention and some work, putting in the hard work. And I've myself alone, even though I'm deep into mindset and entrepreneurship, I've learned a ton from the young people that have been on my show, people that are around my age, younger and older than me, all in their teens and 20s. And it's just been a really beautiful journey. And I look up, and I'm friends with as well a lot of people that have been on my podcast.
Yes, as we know, based on tried and true for our friendship.
Exactly. Yeah, me and Isabel.
Yes. So I guess I'm kind of wondering, as I'm hearing you talk about this, I can tell that you're really passionate about inspiring people to do what they want to do and kind of walk their own path and to really pay attention to their mindset. I guess I'm curious, were you always this really mindful person, or, what inspired you to want to be that inspiration for other people?
Yeah, I think I just got like a huge wave of energy because I love this stuff. You can't control the passion. I think since I was young, I've always really felt like I could do anything I wanted to if I tried hard enough, and I felt like I felt like opportunity and the things I could achieve was in abundance. And I think part of that just obviously part of that had to do with some of the ideals that especially my mom instilled in me and confidence she helped instill in me. But I think that was also just something that kind of was naturally a part of me, like feeling very, very excited about my life and that I could create it into what I wanted it to be. And for a specific example, I remember when I was probably 12, and I'm sitting on the couch. This is just a really simple example, but I was sitting on the couch watching Disney Channel, and it went to commercial, and I turned to my mom and I was like, "Mom, I'm going to do that. I'm going to be an actress. I can do that." And she was like, "Yeah, Livy, you be an actress. That's awesome." And to my core, I really believed that I could do that. And, I didn't become an actress, but that wasn't really the point. It was just that I felt like I could do anything that I wanted to. And as I got older, I realized that not everyone felt that way. And to me, that was really heartbreaking because since since a young age, I remember seeing people and just firmly to my core believing in their potential and just seeing their beauty. And it was everyone with no exceptions. And I had such a passion for people unraveling their potential. And it was just something that fueled me, and as well as learning to unravel my own potential. And so I feel like that was something, and entrepreneurship was also something that kind of manifested at a young age. I was a big inventor as a kid. I made little inventions with my childhood best friend and created little businesses. I think I wrote my first business plan when I was uh 13. It was called Smile. It was like a service business. I don't know. I presented it to my mom to get quote funding, and she shut me down. um but uh yeah, entrepreneurship and potential, and seeing and loving people's potential is kind of something that I felt manifested naturally since a young age, and something that I'm still just believing in people's sublime potential and essence is just something that that's what I live for. When people's eyes light up talking about something they love, or me talking about this is what I live for,
Totally. And I love that so much because I guess I can kind of relate to that feeling of just really being excited to live life. And
Mm-hmm.
I was also a little bit disheartened in the beginning when I kind of found out that not everyone was that way. And I think it had a lot to do
Yeah,
with my upbringing. It had a lot to do with just the habits that I had. And not everyone is fortunate in that way. They're not surrounded with those types of people. So it's really cool.
exactly.
You want to be that energy for people, because I'm a firm believer in the energy that you put out is the energy that you get back. And it kind of seems like that's what
Absolutely.
you're alluding to a little bit here is, when you're putting this energy out into the universe, maybe that's what kind of energy you're going to get back out. So when maybe you're that source of energy for some people, if they're putting out something into the universe, I really want to meet somebody like Livy, but they just don't know your name. You're that person who can give that to them, and then you'll get more positivity in return, which is a super cool kind of a give and take cycle, I would call it, I guess.
Absolutely. And that's another thing, uh it's so cool doing what I do, putting videos on social media, talking about people's potential and mindset and the ways that they can live in alignment and create a life that they love. And how that's been able to impact people, because like you said, not everyone has somebody in their life telling them or being a supporter of them, uh you know in believe, they don't not everyone has someone believing in their potential the way I was so fortunate to have in my life, between my sister and my mom, really pushing me to, and I always felt like they believed in me. And I feel like it's just a really beautiful thing if I can be that for someone else. And at the same time, the besides that, really being my true why of why I do everything I do, believing in people's sublime essence and believing in my own, is I'm a big, if I were to pick my superpower, it would be ideas. I love creating and I love ideas. And whenever, no matter what form it's in, whether it's in art, whether it's in a video, I did videography for a long time, whether it's a business, when I can make ideas manifest, that's that's what I live for. That's my favorite thing ever.
That's awesome. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about either one of your successful ideas, one of your favorite ideas, or maybe one of your most recent ideas? You pick whichever one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, uh, I I'm very passionate about the book I'm writing, which is a personal development book, aimed towards teens and 20 somethings. And unofficially, the title will be "The Sooner You Know, the Better." And so that's a sneak peek.
Ooh.
um, and that book I'm very passionate about, because I feel like often in the personal development industry and I feel like young people aren't getting exposed to emotional intelligence, like learning about how to label their emotions, how to communicate their emotions, how to understand their emotions. I think a lot of young people aren't getting exposed to that soon enough. And I mean, ideally, I would love for that to be like taught in schools. There's like the Emotional Intelligence Research Center at Yale, like that's kind of what they're working on, getting emotional intelligence classes in schools. But the whole reason I'm writing that book and like how the idea came about was that personal development and reading personal development books and listening to those podcasts was a huge healing journey for me. And I wanted to deliver that to young people in a way that's specifically targeted to them, because oftentimes in that industry, it's personal development is targeted to like 40, 50-year-old, especially women. And it's often used as a way to intervene instead of like prevent issues in people's lives. And I think if you could introduce those concepts of mindset shifts and emotional intelligence at a young age, like as young as like a child, like a toddler, I think so many decisions and such a happier life could be created from a young age, because I feel like personal development is the least targeted to young people, even though young people like need it the most, because we make so many decisions, especially in our 20s and our late teens, about college, marriage, kids, where we're going to live, like bills, money, career, all of these things. And I feel like if you could tap into your mindset and your emotional intelligence and heal your trauma or things that happened as a child, I think you would feel a lot happier and less stressed as you're making those decisions.
Yeah, totally.
So that was kind of a long tangent, but like my current idea that I'm very passionate about is my book.
Honestly, I loved that tangent. I loved every bit of it. I never really thought about that before, if I'm being totally honest. Like, I never really thought, we're teaching us about all these maybe like scientific and very like not so more so like objective rather than subjective topics, I would say. Just things that
Yeah.
are straight facts. And then I feel like we do to an extent we learn about life themes, I guess, and like language arts, but it's always hidden. It's always a hidden meaning in something. And it would be really nice to have a curriculum that just kind of gives you some options on how to make decisions.
Yeah.
Because honestly, that's a really great idea. I can't wait to read your book personally.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It's still in the works, but I think it will be able to help a lot of people, because I think that's something that the personal development industry is kind of missing right now, is really catering to Gen Z and pushing for young people to have a little bit more intention. And of course, you can make mistakes. We all do. I do. And you can have fun as a young person. Like I'm not all business all the time. I go out, I have fun with my friends. But I'm very intentional about my life. And since I've really become extremely intentional, I'm the happiest I've ever been.
Yeah, that's really cool. I would love to ask you more about that after our super quick music break, Livy. But when we come back, I will definitely be asking you about your intentions with your day. Hey everyone, welcome back to Build-A-Biz on Build-A-Biz Radio. My name is Isabel Bercaw, your host, and today I'm interviewing Miss Livi Redden, the mindset educator and serial entrepreneur. And she was just talking to us about how since setting intentions in her life, that her life she's never been happier with it. So Livy, I guess I want to ask you, what are some examples of intentions that you like to set in your day-to-day life?
Great question. As far as how I'm intentional, I would say the number one thing that I would love to see more people be intentional about, and when I do see people being intentional about this, it makes me very excited, is time. Like I think often we treat our time as if it's replaceable, even though time is like the most valuable thing that we have. And you know, I always have it in the back of my mind that my time is valuable, and so I try and treat others people's time as such. Ask for people to treat my time as such. So I'm very intentional about my time, and I'm very intentional about my self-awareness. I try very hard to, one thing I think anyone that's listening could do to improve your self-awareness, to recognize your thoughts more and to be more self-aware of what will truly make you happy is getting to the core of your why. So for example, I think if you take any action that you take in your life, say you're on a sports team, let's say you're on a basketball team, if you ask yourself why enough times, you will get to the true core of why you take that action. So for example, like why am I on the basketball team? Because it makes me physically fit. Why do I care that I'm physically fit? Because I like when I feel good. I like when my body feels good. Why do I like that? Because when I feel good, I feel happier. I can share more love. I can receive more love. And why do I want to receive more love? Because I want to live a happy life. And that's what allows me to live a happy life. So I feel like if you ask why enough times, that will increase your self-awareness. So two things I'm very intentional about: time and self-awareness, and getting to the core of my why with each action I take.
Yeah, that's really cool. Do you find that when you are looking for a why, is there an overarching dominant why that you end up getting back to?
I mean, I would say generally my why would go back to wanting to live in alignment. That's a big thing with my business that I'm creating and the coaching courses that I'm wanting to do with young people, is how am I living in alignment? And that's more a feeling than anything. So that can be kind of tough for people to understand, like, what does it actually mean when I say living in alignment?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just asking if what I'm doing truly is Livy, if it's bringing me contentment, if it's bringing me peace, and if it's bringing me true joy. Because I really do measure success by how much joy that I'm feeling. Do I feel joyful, and do I really feel like Livy? And that means something different for everyone. And I think that's a constant process. Like, I can't really explain to anybody what living in alignment looks for them, or what being Livy or being whoever you are is. But I think the core of my why is, if I'm living in alignment, my goal is reached. Like right now, I don't feel like I'm reaching for anything, because I'm living the dream. I'm living in alignment, and I'm living like Livy, and that's what makes me happy.
Yeah.
So that would probably be the core of everything that I do.
Maybe Living Like Livy could be the title of your next book.
That's right. I just trademarked my new slogan.
Yeah, absolutely. I was happy to witness that. You said a lot of really
I love
impressive
it.
things, and I really appreciated how you addressed that your why can be an evolution. So it doesn't necessarily have to
Absolutely.
be, linear. It can diverge. It can have different, I'm really visual, so I'm kind of imagining a river, different river channels that kind of go in and out, and maybe there are some obstacles there. But it was cool how you addressed that, and that's kind of how I'm imagining it in my head. I think that is a
I love
really
that.
great concept that you can apply to a business situation. Even if you're not thinking
Yeah.
about your personal development, if you're thinking about your business development, that is also always an evolution. And I feel like that's a good point to point out, is that's just like an entrepreneurial skill that you can probably practice to implement in your life. And then eventually you can be able to apply that skill, the skill of evolving and adapting to your business, which is super cool.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it makes me think about like the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. I don't know if you've read that. It's a pretty well-known business book.
I haven't, but you have to remember, Livy, I only joined your book club last month. So
Yes, last month. Yeah, I by the way, anyone that's listening, I run that global book club. I run a global book club where we read personal development and financial literacy books. It's called the Mindset Mastery Book Club. And anyways, very fun. Isabel's in the book club.
I had to interrupt you there really quick to try to give your book club that shameless plug, but continue what you were saying.
That's right. Shameless plug. Wink, wink. But Start With Why is a great book. If anyone here is listening is an aspiring entrepreneur, that book is really awesome.
So just kind of going back to that, the whole concept of the book club, can you just quickly tell me, or, rattle off maybe like your top 3 books that you think people should read if they're hoping to get started on their personal development journey?
Personal development, yeah. Let's see. I would say the classic Atomic Habits is really awesome. I would say Atomic Habits is pretty research backed, so it's not gonna, I will say up front, it's not gonna be your most entertaining book, but if you study it like you would study a textbook, it's gonna help you a ton. Atomic Habits is a lot of great stuff, especially if you struggle being intentional about your time, or kicking old habits. So Atomic Habits, I would say, is a great one. Second book, I would say, The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown is really great, helping you get rid of things that block you from living in alignment and living a life that you love, aka like shame, fear. Brene Brown is great. And these are all like pretty classic books because they're classic because they ring so true, and I think they can resonate with a lot of people. And I would say third book would probably be, let's see here. Difficult Conversations is great. It was a research study, I think, done by, was it like a Ivy League school? I forget, but Difficult Conversations is great to learn how to communicate better in a conversation that's hard to navigate, or navigating arguments and creating healthy relationships even when there's disagreements. Difficult Conversations is great. Or the Four Agreements. Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Four Agreements is great. It's just about shifting your mindset so that you can create a reality that you really love. So that was 4 books, but they're all very good.
Well, thank you, because I didn't mean to put a limit on you there. It's good to hear your top 4.
I could list off like 50. Rapid fire.
Well, Livy, unfortunately, this is all the time we have left today, but I so appreciate you coming on Build-A-Biz and giving us all some mindfulness and really wise advice. And I would just like you to tell the listeners, if they don't have time to read all the books right now, but they want to get started on their mindfulness journey, what are some social media outlets that they could find you on, and what's your handle?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. Instagram and TikTok is where I post the most. It's just Livi Redden, LIVIREDDEN. And I'm most frequently on there. And then you can also listen to my podcast. And you can find the link to it as well in both of my TikTok and Instagram bios. But my podcast is Today is the Future, and you can listen to that pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts. But Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Anything is good.
Yay. Thank you, Livy.
Yes, thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.
All right, if you want to listen to this episode again, or maybe you missed the beginning, or you just want to check out other Build-A-Biz episodes, definitely go to the Build-A-Bear YouTube channel, where you'll find a Build-A-Bear radio playlist. You can listen to those all you want. And you can also follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is isabel.bercaw, and I will also be posting weekly updates on there about who the next guest on Build-A-Biz will be.